Hello, hello. Thank you for joining us for Infertility Success Author Chats. I have contributing author Brandi Bunda here. She wrote a chapter called A Second Chance at Motherhood. And today we're going to talk about what that means to her. Hi, Brandi. Thanks for being on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be with you.
Yeah, I know that you were really excited to share your story in the book. Can you tell us a little bit about what writing this chapter meant to you?
Well, it meant a lot to me, to be honest. I feel really honored to be in this book because there's not really another one out there like it where there's so many different stories of challenges. Like I had no idea. I learned so much from other women going through this book because I struggled with unexplained infertility.
Yeah.
On paper, I really didn't have any reason why I shouldn't be able to conceive. And so to hear about all the different struggles that these women had was just astonishing. And, part of me really also felt sad in another way because there are some things that once I sought assistance from a naturopathic doctor after struggling for 2.5 years, she really helped to catapult me and made drastic changes in my life and in a 6-month period that ultimately led to me getting pregnant. And it just makes me wonder, there's so many women out there that maybe could possibly make some of these changes too, and just how impactful or what a difference it can make in their journey where they might not have to go on to seek, medical assistance,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's really why I wanted to share, some of my stories so that I can help inspire and empower women to really help take more control or better control of their fertility health from the moment they decide that they want to have a baby.
Yeah. When you were talking, I just had like all over chills. It is really a unique collaboration of stories, like you said, and from so many varied backgrounds. So you touched a little bit about what was going on with you in terms of your challenges. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's highlight that. Like when you say unexplained infertility, that's the diagnosis, but leading up to that, what kind of symptoms were you having? What was going on with you?
Well, basically, once I decided that I wanted to have a baby and I got off my birth control and basically I was taking a medication for ADD and focus. And so those were the two things that I started to do, but I still had a plethora of symptoms and challenges that I was going through. So I struggled with gut issues. I had acne. My periods were irregular. I was anemic and I was having literally fainting. I was fainting at different times. My two front teeth, just fun fact, are fake from a fainting incident. My teeth moved backwards and I had to push them back into the place, and it actually killed those nerves. Okay. Wow. I was low in B vitamins, vitamin D. My hormones were just all out of balance, and I didn't know that then.
Yeah.
But even
So these are all the
to
things that are happening to you. You're passing out. Like, how are you feeling? Like we're going to find out right through blood tests that your B is low and this is low and that's low, but you're fainting. Your periods are irregular.
Yes.
What else? How else are you feeling?
I was having chronic headaches.
Acne, you said?
Acne. I was getting canker sores. I was really tired. I would get fatigued easy.
Right.
I had gut issues. So on one end of the spectrum, I would either have trouble going to the bathroom or it would be, really loose. Sorry. But, it was I was having abdominal cramping and pains and bloating. And so for someone who's struggling with infertility, I looked at times like I was pregnant, which is a total mind mess. Okay. When I looked bloated, I looked pregnant, but yet I wasn't. So I know you can feel me on you're just so eager to take. And because my periods were irregular, I would be so eager, oh my gosh, I'm late a couple days. And so then you're really hopeful. And you go buy a million different pregnancy tests, like the digital ones, the ones that aren't digital, like the different brands, it's crazy. And that was constant. And so then that's an emotional, I was stressed.
Right.
At the time I worked, I had a 5-state territory and I worked for a health and wellness company. And we sold nutraceuticals in the animal health industry, but we also sold supplements for people. So that's
Mhm.
really what helped catapult me on making particular changes in my life. I wasn't getting that from my doctor. I learned a lot from our corporate trainer, actually.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it was my job to go into veterinary hospitals and actually educate the veterinarians how they could use preventative health and wellness in the pet's life, try to get them maybe off medications and really use a multimodal approach. So I
Mhm.
started taking that into my own life. And then 5 months into my fertility journey, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And so that was a really stressful and emotional time. That was the same year that um, I had a miscarriage.
Mhm.
And so after the miscarriage, that's whenever, and that was in 2012. And so really 2013 is when I started trying to do things on my own and just started kind of researching particular
Yeah.
things. And so I was trying to clean up my diet even more because I had done that on the cancer journey with my dad.
Yeah. And
I had
and previous to that, would you have said that you had a good diet? Like, would you have thought, yeah, I eat pretty well? Like, or did you know that your diet really needed addressed?
2000 when I started working for in the nutraceutical industry in
Yeah.
2010, that's when things changed for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I worked out on the road, and so I would
Yeah.
go to I would find a natural grocery store and I
Mhm.
would buy my food for the week as I stayed in a hotel in order to be able to try to make my food the best I can. Or I was
Yeah.
eating, I was hitting up the Paneras and the Jason's Delis. And so I had already started to try to clean up my diet.
Yeah.
It went full force when I was trying to help save my dad's life. And then I
Right.
started exploring other things, using more supplementation. That was the same year that we were introduced to aromatherapy and essential oils. And we
Mhm.
started looking at the water we were drinking and the cleaners that we were eating because he had lung cancer. Or
Yeah.
we weren't eating cleaners. The,
Yeah.
the cleaners that we were
Right.
using, right? We started looking at those because I was looking at respiratory cancer, like what would have contributed. So I just
Right.
became an investigator, um, and really doing research on my own because I
Yeah.
sat in the cancer room with my dad and
Mhm.
I heard the conversations that weren't happening there. I know the conversations that weren't happening in my doctor's office when I was struggling with all of these things. There was just, they wanted to write a prescription for certain thing, and I
Right.
really didn't want to go that. I was trying to go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And so that's when I decided, was like, I really need to try to find somebody who views the body like I do. And
Mhm.
that's when I found a local naturopath.
Yeah, that's amazing. And really, all of these things in the end were what were affecting your fertility, right?
Yeah,
Because,
it had a direct correlation and I had no
yeah,
idea.
yeah. So, what's your life like now? What do you have going on?
My life like now is I'm a mom of two. So after I sought help from the naturopath, she made drastic lifestyle changes. When you read my story, I go into, detail about the different changes and stuff that I made. And 6 months later, we were pregnant. And I went on to have a wonderful pregnancy and natural childbirth. I was able to breastfeed for over 2 years, and I didn't struggle with secondary infertility with my second baby. In fact, I
Wow.
was almost 4 months pregnant before I knew that I was pregnant the second time.
Wow. I don't
And
think I've heard that part of your story before.
yeah, yeah, I was almost 16 weeks pregnant and I
Yeah.
was like, what in the heck? Like, why am I not? I was giving up sugar and I
Mhm.
was, I'm like, why am I not losing weight? And yeah, I was gaining weight and someone was like, maybe you're pregnant. I'm like, no, I'm still nursing. That was a total myth
Right.
that if
Yeah.
you're nursing, you can't get pregnant.
Right.
Okay. So just know that in advance. But anyway, so I was almost 16 weeks pregnant. We go to the doctor and like literally there is a baby. You could
Yeah.
see the baby
Not a
on the
bean.
ultrasound, not a
Yeah.
bean. It
Yeah.
was a baby. Um, so yeah,
Surprise.
I'm a health and wellness coach, just really helping to, guide not just women on their fertility journey, but really in their overall women's health. I really
Mhm.
want to speak to women and it's like, they say infertility, right, is whenever you struggle for at least 12 months without getting pregnant. So my advice, my greatest tip to someone who's like going through this is,
Yeah.
why wait? If the time is going to pass anyway,
Right.
like why wait until you've struggled and you don't know why, especially if you have reproductive issues. You know, there's
Yeah.
so many things that my doctor didn't ask about, like let's try to figure out why you're having all these gut issues. Let's see if you have MTHFR, because something as simple as your prenatal vitamin can make a
Mhm.
big difference. A third of
Right.
women have, third of people have MTHFR. And if you're
Yeah.
taking the wrong prenatal vitamin, you're actually, which I do, I have MTHFR.
Yeah.
I know you
Same.
do too, right?
Mhm.
And so if you're taking a supplement with folic acid and not folate, well, you're causing yourself a whole host of problems. And these are just conversations that aren't happening in doctors' offices. So I'm really helping to like change conversations that are being had, to encourage and empower you to just take more control of your fertility health from the moment you decide that you want to have a baby. And I've actually got a preconception checklist that has like 18 different tips that you can start. So if you're feeling helpless
Yeah.
or hopeless, like there's nothing that you can do, is like, here's some things that you can do that are, that still, that
Yeah.
was 2014, right? When I walked through that. It's 20, it's 8 years later. And I, all except for giving up the coffee, because I did have to give that up
Yeah.
during that 6-month period when I went to go see, you know, my naturopath. And now I am still a daily coffee consumer. But
Yeah.
all the other changes were so, they improved my life so much. I like how I feel now. It's so different
Right.
than how I did then. And it changed the way I parent and raise my babies. I'm so much
Yeah.
more intentional with what we bring into our home, what we put into our body.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you mentioned your free checklist, because that's actually available in the back of each of the chapters. Every contributing
mhm,
author put a free resource and a way to connect. And so if you want Brandy's free checklist, when you purchase the book, if there's a QR code and you can just scan that and connect with Brandy. Um, the other thing that you said that I think is profound is that, and I think that most of the authors would agree that it has changed, not only getting to the success and going through the infertility process has changed how we parent and
oh,
how we
for
view our
sure.
bodies and how we view our health. And it was for a purpose, right? I think
Right.
that you would agree that
Yep.
the journey was for a purpose for you and for your kids ultimately.
Yes.
When
Mhm.
people are frustrated with these lifestyle changes and they, and I
Yep.
understand the frustration of giving up everything that you really want,
Yep.
coffee or wine or sugar or carbs or whatever it is. But really, like, look at you, you're the picture of health, your skin is beautiful. um the outcome is over, the goal is overall health, and the
Right.
outcome is pregnancy, right?
Yes.
and
Yes, that's
and
so
it's for
great.
your kids, it's for your kids too. If you can learn to do this for yourself to get to the point of pregnancy, then you have a whole nother set of tools. Look at all the tools that you have to
Yes.
share with your family.
Yes. And they
Yeah.
emulate what they see.
Right.
I mean, I have mom wins all the time when I hear my kids like turn around and either they're coaching me on something, or we're walking like through an elimination diet right now with my
Yeah.
son. He's 4 and he's having like some eczema flare ups. And so he's asking me, Mom, does this have dyes in it? Mom, I need an enzyme. Mom, I mean, is
Yeah.
this gluten free? And he's 4, but it's because I teach them and I talk about it and they know why. And I just
Yeah.
I really want to inspire health, and not only them, but just, I know it can be overwhelming. And when I go through and people like actually see what I did in such a short amount of time, I
Yeah.
honestly sometimes don't give myself enough credit. And other people are like, oh my gosh, like that is a lot.
Yeah.
And I had help getting there. So
Right.
another big thing is like, you don't have to be alone to do this. Like we
Right.
both, you and I
Yes.
both help kind of guide and mentor, women on their journeys. I'm working on some future resources that'll be available, like we can connect. Um, and so I just pray for the women out there that they feel guided to reach out to somebody in the book that they can connect to, even if it's just, for a pep talk, for some good advice, or who knows, like a friendship, might form from this, because it's such like an intimate and personal journey that you go through, and you feel like you're alone.
Yeah.
But infertility increases are rising, and I really want it to go the other direction. So I really want to be a part of like a whole functional fertility movement,
Yeah.
where we look at the body as a whole and not just a reproductive system.
Yeah. And not as our bodies being broken, but our bodies are communicating with us. They're telling us these
Yeah.
are all, these symptoms are all
Signs.
signals and
Yes.
signs that, just like the proverbial check engine light on your car, right? It's
Yes.
really
Yes.
true. Like your body has the same kind of warning systems. What would you say to somebody still in the trenches, still going through infertility? Like, what, in a couple sentences, what would you say to them about keeping the faith and moving forward and taking some of these things and implementing them in their life? Like, how can you inspire them?
So well, for one, I would say pray.
Yeah.
If you're a praying person, like give it up to God. I know people give advice that's like, when you just stop thinking about it, when you just like forget about it, your body will relax and it will just happen. Have you heard that one? Because I did.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but if the time, like I said before, if the time is going to pass anyway, like don't wait until you get to the 12-month mark. Start making small incremental changes. It
Right.
doesn't have to be dramatic or drastic like mine was in a short period of time. But even if you changed one thing a month, by the end of a 12-month period, you can either A, be pregnant, B, be healthier, so that when you do get pregnant, like you have a successful and a healthy pregnancy, and you feel good, because you can feel good.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I feel really bad for the women who tell me that they hated being pregnant and they had a crummy pregnancy. I was just like, I wanted to be
Yeah.
pregnant so much. Like, I
Yeah.
don't be mad, but I didn't even experience like morning sickness other than nausea,
Yeah.
So I know that's not everyone's experience, but it was for me. And so I just want to say, like, don't give up, have faith. If you're feeling helpless or hopeless, check out the checklist so that you can start making changes. The time is going to pass anyway. And so just really try to help yourself increase and maximize your chances of conceiving, even if it's not naturally. I mean, sometimes I know that you weren't even a candidate, right, for
Right.
IUI or IVF, and that's
Yeah.
expensive. Like they've made it
Right.
really expensive to try to have
Yeah.
a baby.
Right.
Or even adoption. I mean, those aren't like
Yeah.
easy processes, or they're really big life investments. And so
Yeah.
if you can make dietary and lifestyle changes and really help to balance out your hormones and start checking the stuff that comes through your home, and like what you're exposing yourself to, and what you're putting on it in your body, and just different ways that you can support your health naturally, that might be all that your body needs to have a
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it may or may not be instantaneous, but
Right.
the outcome is still going to be that you're going to be living a healthier life.
Right.
So you have nothing to lose. So, Brandi,
And
thank you.
yeah,
Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
was
Sorry.
just going to say that even in some of the symptoms that I was experiencing, I wasn't necessarily contributing them to infertility. And
Right.
over time, the more I learned and the more I researched, the more I
Yeah.
realized that it was having an overall effect. So you might be thinking that what you're going through is incremental, or there's no direct correlation or connection,
Yeah.
but it very
Right.
well could be.
I'm really glad that you brought that up. Doctors can't fix everything. Sometimes you have to take these things into your own hands, do your own research, be empowered. And just because a doctor tells you that they can't help you, it does not mean that you cannot get pregnant. So, Brandi, thank you so much for being on today and sharing your story. If you're looking for more stories like Brandi's, there's 20 stories in Infertility Success, stories of help and hope for your journey. Check it out on Amazon.com, and the link is in the comments.
Awesome. Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.